Sawyer watched as the students rushed out of school, each calling out, "Thank you, teacher!" Suddenly, with a clink, 2 coins fell. Surprised, Sawyer realized he had received 2 sincere thanks. It dawned on him that perhaps he should consider letting school out late more often. As Sawyer and Atticus were on their way back, they saw Scarlett pawning something at the shop. They quickly walked over, stuffing some money into her hands. "You don't need to pawn your things anymore," Sawyer said, referring to the money for the 3 anti-inflammatory pills she had given him. Scarlett looked puzzled. "What do you mean?" Sawyer, touching his chest, said, "If it weren't for the medicine you brought me that day, I would have died. Don't worry, as long as I have a bite of meat, you'll have a sip of soup." But then Atticus pulled Sawyer aside and said, "Brother, that's not right. Don't others share the meat? Why do they only get soup with you? Besides, we don't even have meat at home." Realizing his mistake, Sawyer corrected himself. "From now on, as long as I have a sip of soup, you'll have dishes to wash." Atticus was once again stunned by his brother's words. Although Sawyer's way of expressing things was hard to understand, it was a gesture of happiness for Scarlett, who smiled brightly and said, "I'll wash your dishes and clothes then." The trio then headed home together, but not long after, they heard crying near the clinic. A middle-aged woman was kneeling in front of the village's only doctor, begging him to save her husband. The doctor, with a cold smirk, shut the clinic door harshly after saying, "Why come to me without money? Do I look like a charity to you?" Sawyer didn't step forward or play the Good Samaritan, especially when he realized the man was already dead. He calmly said to Atticus, "Remember this. This is reality." Soon after, acid rain began to fall, and the 3 hurried back home. Inside, Atticus remarked to Sawyer, "Being a doctor seems like an easy way to earn thanks. Too bad you don't know any medical skills." Sawyer then remembered his ability to copy skills. Although he wasn't skilled in medicine, he could learn. If he mastered medical skills, he could not only make money and save lives, but also complete his task to earn coins. Excited by this thought, Sawyer went early the next morning to the unscrupulous doctor's door. But the doctor was lazy and didn't open his door until noon. When the doctor finally saw Sawyer waiting, he was startled. "What are you doing here?" Sawyer just stared and said, "Carry on with your business. Don't mind me." As the power supply chimed in, an option to randomly learn a skill appeared, but it was a trickery skill, which Sawyer declined with frustration, realizing the doctor had turned deceit into a skill set. Despite several attempts, no medical skills were acquired. Frustrated, Sawyer angrily threw a pot at the doctor, yelling, "You've been swindling people all these years." After hitting the doctor's head with the pot and feeling slightly avenged, Sawyer stormed off, only to discover his hand wound had healed. Realizing the potential of his black medicine, he decided to open a clinic specializing in treating cuts using his own medicine. To market his medicine, he planned a show in front of the whole village, pretending to cut grass, but secretly drawing attention to his medicinal herbs, proclaiming, "This isn't just any grass, it's medicinal, perfect for making healing herbal concoctions." "You think I recovered from all those injuries before by doing what?" Sawyer said as he returned home and began to ostentatiously concoct herbal remedies. Deliberately, he left the door curtain open, attracting many onlookers at the entrance. They murmured among themselves, but none dared to step inside. Realizing the situation was not favorable, Sawyer stepped out and pointed at a thin man, saying, "You, come here." Knowing Sawyer's tough reputation, the man reluctantly approached. Sawyer whispered with his arm around the man's shoulder, "They're asking what I'm doing. What should I tell them?" Seeing Sawyer's stern face, the man panicked slightly and stammered, "What are you doing?" Pleased with the question, Sawyer brightly explained, "I'm preparing a herbal medicine. It not only relieves pain and reduces inflammation, but also hastens wound healing. I used to keep this a secret, but I've realized my mistake and decided to share it with everyone. I'm planning to open a clinic for external injuries, so if you get hurt, come to me. After Sawyer finished speaking, the crowd remained skeptical. They knew that previously, he had endured his injuries without any remedies, and everyone in the village knew that Sawyer was no healer. Seeing the dispersing crowd, Sawyer knew he had to take action. He turned to the thin man he had pulled aside. "Brother, it looks like your arm is injured. How about some special medicine?" The man immediately refused, but Sawyer didn't take no for an answer, pinning him down. "You're going to take it anyway. Consider it a promotion." "This treatment is on the house," Sawyer said as he forcefully administered the medicine, then let the man scramble away. Inside, Atticus was surprised. "Brother, why are you giving away the medicine for free? That's not like you." Sawyer was indeed frustrated. He desperately wanted to market his herbal concoction, a key means of earning gratitude. He comforted himself. "Everything is difficult at the beginning. Besides, this medicine works so well, it will surely sell." Indeed, the next day, a man named Rich Guy waited excitedly at Sawyer's doorstep. "Did you treat Ironhead in the village east yesterday?" "Yes," Sawyer pondered if the market had opened up that quickly. "Thank you," Rich Guy exclaimed eagerly. "Do you have more of that medicine? I can help you sell it." While Sawyer didn't prefer middlemen, considering the small size of the village, he relented. "If you want to buy some for yourself, that's fine." Curious, Sawyer asked Rich Guy, who had not been injured, "What do you need it for?" Rich Guy chuckled mysteriously. Ironhead felt something was off, so he tasted the medicine. Believe it or not, it kept him up all night with his wife. "Your stuff is incredibly potent. Where did you get this?" Sawyer, of course, would not reveal the true source, so he casually claimed it was an ancestral recipe, offering Rich Guy a friend's price. Rich Guy readily handed over some cash, thanking Sawyer profusely, while Sawyer received a notification of receiving a sincere thank from Rich Guy. Watching Rich Guy's departing figure, Sawyer was speechless. His market had opened in such an unexpected way. Later, in the affluent part of the barrier, Rich Guy respectfully handed the medicine to a well-dressed, important figure. Sawyer had officially opened his clinic, hanging a banner outside his home that read, "Specializing in knife wound treatment, a physician's kind heart." Suddenly, rapid footsteps approached from behind. 3 middle-aged men, covered in injuries, appeared. They seemed unaware of Sawyer's clinic and headed straight for the town clinic. Sawyer couldn't let this opportunity slip by. Besides, a new task had been assigned by the system. "Sorry about this," he muttered, then swiftly ran after the 3 men. Catching them with ease, he brought them to his clinic. Assuring the frightened men, Sawyer explained, "Don't be afraid. You were about to be duped by charlatans at that clinic. I'm actually saving you, you know?" He then called over Scarlett. Seeing the men's battered condition, she asked, "Did you guys get into a brawl?" "No, it was a factory boiler explosion. We're the ones who got off lightly. We could still run back." "Some weren't so lucky," they explained. Sawyer nodded solemnly. In these times, no one in the factory would take you to get treated. They'd rather wait for you to die to take your belongings. He had the men carried inside, then looked at Scarlett. "Sis, could you sterilize the needle and start stitching them up? Just think of it as sewing clothes. It's not hard." Scarlett mustered her courage and took out a sewing needle, which she sterilized over the fire. Then she proceeded to stitch the man's wound directly. Her unskilled movements were so harrowing that just watching made the other 2 shudder. The man screamed in pain, his body trembling. Angrily, he said, "I understand sterilizing with fire, but couldn't you have waited until the needle cooled down before stitching? It's really cold-hearted to stitch like that." Scarlett looked at him awkwardly, admitting it was her first time and she lacked experience. After finishing the stitches, Sawyer took out his special medicine. Wrapping his arm around the man, he boasted, "This medicine of mine is a treasure. And I'm not asking for much, just a flat rate of $600, same as a clinic visit. You guys earn $2,000 to $3,000 a month, right? You should be able to afford this price." The man immediately nodded in agreement. His only request now was that Sawyer be gentle. While Sawyer was applying the medicine, one man at the door took his chance and ran. Seeing this, another person tried to escape, but Sawyer quickly grabbed him and handed him over to Scarlet, saying, "Scarlet, you handle this one first."